to me, I felt guilty and almost like upset with the writers for making you go through that when it was such a hard thing for you to come out of, and when you were already dealing with it with your sister. And I remember just feeling very tense and angry on set with like the writers for making you have to do this again, when it's like when you come back from something like that, it is so hard to, anything can tip the scales, anything can move you in that direction again, as you know. And it's like, I felt like it was just it was such a hard thing, I feel like, for us to get through, being so close to it.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you're right. And I think too, for me as well, I hate to admit that I didn't put as much of my heart and soul into it as I could have and as I ought to have, because I was trying to keep that arm's length distance since it was so relevant. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was kind of an interesting one to tackle.
Yeah. I feel like both of us were kind of very closed off during that, mm-hmm. during those episodes, because mm-hmm. they were so close. Yeah. So yeah, that one was tough for sure. And then you said the snake one.
And what about for you, Cassie? What did you find was either the most personal, or that you related to most, either your storyline or someone else's?
I feel like I related to Ellie a lot. Mm-hmm. And there was like an episode that she did with cutting and stuff like that, which I felt like hit really close to home. In the beginning, she was kind of an outsider. And I felt like when we were growing up, I was like a little bit of an outsider. I feel you and I were really close, but as far as us growing up, even in the cliques within the show, I felt like I was just like a little bit offbeat. And it was like I was always saying weird things and kind of making an idiot of myself and putting my foot in my mouth all the time.
I felt the same.
Yeah. But I think I related a lot with her character, because I felt like I wished I would have been able to handle that storyline. And I just feel like, yeah, I do feel like a lot of topics are glossed over. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's kind of just the nature of it being a teen show. You can't really get into the thick of things as much as we want to. Yeah. Because we only had so much capacity at that time. And we're also trying to make it, I think the writers, it's like, they do want to tackle these subjects, but at the same time, they have to make it palatable for the viewers.
For sure. And packaged to either 30 minutes or 60 minutes. That was basically the most time we have to tell any story, and then it's on to the next.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. Yeah, I think there were like a lot of storylines that hit kind of close to home. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel like the ones that you mentioned were definitely the toughest.
Yeah.
And I think what changed your character the most, as far as the storylines, what episode do you think was a turning point for your character development?
I would have to. Well, a turning point that I see with Emma, where she sort of shifted gears, I think, number one, I think, was the ravine episode, where suddenly those bracelets became such a symbol of her breaking away from the mold that she had been in for the first couple of seasons and wanting to no longer be seen as the prude girl, as a stuck-up, innocent girl, and wanting to venture out. So I think that was a turning point. And then a turning point where I just really hated Emma was the Peter storyline, where Peter betrays you, my best friend, and then Emma goes on and dates him behind her back. That was just a moment where I was like, oh my God, Emma, my gosh. And I think that those two moments were kind of crucial in taking her from being the being to definitely being not the good girl. So
Yeah.
So what about for you?
I think it was the opposite. I think it was me helping Darcy, Shanae's character, through her whole thing with, you know, getting raped and drugged and going through everything like that. And I feel like Manny was always like a good friend, but maybe in the past she kind of, I don't think Manny was like selfish. I just feel like she was like me. It's very similar. She was impulsive. She was like, you know, she drank too much at that party. When she wants something, she goes after it. It's just, she's more of like she's an impulse person. Mm-hmm. And I think that when she started seeing things or seeing people and in pain, I think that was where she really gained a lot of strength as a character. Yeah. I think there was a time that, you know, she had her fun, she went loose, and I feel like she became just more of a friend. She became more stable. I think what she went through with the abortion and, you know, being disowned by her family and having her time there, I think ultimately made her a stronger person. Mm-hmm. And she was there for Emma and she was there for Darcy. And I feel like it was kind of where Manny grew her legs, if you will. Yeah. She became who she is, which I feel like is a caring, strong friend. Mm-hmm. Who really, really, truly cares about the people close to her. Mm-hmm. That are going through a hard time. Yeah. You know, and being like their rock. For sure. So, yeah. Perfect. Any more? Oh, okay. We have to ask this one because there were like 500 likes on this one. Who were each of our who are our favorite boyfriends on the show? I know we've answered this one a lot in the past, but I think that we kind of said it with the end game. But I feel like the boyfriends are maybe a little bit. End game is a little different than the actual boyfriend.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just like, I will always say Sean and Emma. I just think they were the most. Ooh. My phone just like, I think I'm super low battery, so that worries me. Sean and Emma, I gotta stop fast. I'm in the red zone on my battery right now.
Can you grab a cord?
Yeah, you give your answer. I think I've got a long enough one.
Okay, so I know we kind of answered this with the end game, but I do feel like Manny and Craig were my favorite couple for me on the show because I had a huge crush on Jake Epstein when he came to the show, and I feel like I was always saying like really weird stuff in front of him, and it was always very uncomfortable shooting with him because I feel like I was just never saying the right thing. Never. There's so many things. So many weird things. One time I accidentally bit his finger. One time I told him I was just weird. I was just weird. It's like, you know, when you're with your crush and you say a lot of weird things. So it made for a lot of chemistry really when it came up. But I think that my favorite couple was Manny and Craig because I felt like I had so many feelings for Craig at the time, or Jake Epstein at the time, that you're sideways again.
I know, because my charger, I've got to plug it in, so I can't make it go vertical.
Oh, okay.
It's going to stand soaring.
Maybe should I go this way so then people will see us both like that?
Possibly. Or maybe people will just get creative and like, or maybe
I'll
try to do it like this and then I'll look a little more normal. Oh, that works.
Oh, yeah. That works. Cool. Problem solving 101. Okay. Let me see here.
Where's my question?
I know. I wish I typed these out, not written them with like chicken scratch. Oh, right. So do I feel like any of the other characters were LGBT besides Marco and Paige and Alex? because they thought that Manny was bi. I feel like Manny could have been bi. I feel like she was definitely boy crazy, 100%. But I feel like a lot of people can swing both ways, and I think given the right storyline, we definitely could have pulled it off. I don't think that. I feel like there's always like a moment in time for, so much happened, especially with her and Craig and the men in her life and her dad abandoning her. I feel like it could have been a natural storyline for Manny to feel like men had let her down, and I feel like she was very open to begin with. I feel like Manny was always up for an adventure, not just that men had done her wrong, because that's not everyone's origin story. I feel like she was also very up for things, and if she went with a feeling and if she met the right girl, I feel like regardless of the backstory, I feel like Manny would go for it. Personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that kind of answered. Yeah, that kind of answered another question, which was, I think we may have talked about it, but was there a storyline that you wish your character had had? And you mentioned you would have loved to play out Allie's cutting storyline, and maybe like Manny more so experimenting with the types of relationships.
Yeah, I think there's so many. I feel like I would have loved to deal with that. And that's why I say Craig when people are like, what character would you play? Craig going through his bipolar or any sort of like, mental health type I would have liked to experience. Like, I would have liked to kind of portray that. So I went through a lot growing up that it was the early 2000s, and like a lot of things like ADHD and ADD and, anxiety disorders, it's more talked about now. And I know we touched on them in the show, but I feel like I would have loved to tackle something like that. Yeah. To feel like unstable and not right and not being able to explain why. Mm-hmm. I feel like with Craig, and I think that they're definitely now I feel like the writers would have more tools because mental health is much more open than it was 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I would have loved to tackle a storyline with mental health for sure. Mm-hmm. Just feeling like those always touched really close to home for me. Mm-hmm. And even in the episodes, I feel like thinking about how they were written, I feel like you can tell they're dated. They're dated because it's like those people are so alienated from, and I feel like I would have liked to go deeper in that. And having a lot of like mental health issues when I was growing up, I feel like maybe I would have liked to bring something to that, like more inflections and like back and forth with that I feel like we just didn't really touch on, because it's a lot more open now than it used to be.
For sure. I feel like the theme here is like we just wish that those like heavy hitting issues were just more fleshed out, and that they could have been like episodes for all of those like very impactful issues, the ones that like affect people, that the ones where people say, wow, that episode changed my life.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's just like one of those things again where it's just like it's really no one's fault. I think it's like, it's like a half hour or an hour, and that is ultimately a kids show or a teen show on a teen network. It was on Noggin or Nickelodeon, and I feel like there's only so many things that we could have done, and that maybe at the time, who knows if we would have been able to handle it if they were more fleshed out and hit home, like how that would have affected us.
Yeah, like the more stories they could tell, the more different people, even though it was just like the tip of the iceberg with these half-hour episodes, but like we were able to show such a cross-section of types of characters and stories and all that stuff. And you're right, if we'd have spent an entire season trying to tell one storyline, then so many people would have missed out on hearing their voice, in essence, being shown on our show. Mm-hmm. So, I feel like we're like going through them. Do you have many left?
yeah, so if Manny and Emma were in high school right now, what trends do you think they'd love? And then they made examples like, e-girl, which I don't know, but TikTok or Instagram or stuff like that. I feel like Manny would do like a TikTok.
Yes,
for
I think
sure.
Manny would be more for TikTok. I feel like Emma would be, well, I guess it depends like which iteration of Emma we're talking about. If it's like Emma the early days, I feel like she would be doing some type of like major like Save the Dolphins Instagram campaign thing. And then in the later seasons, maybe more like, I feel like she wouldn't have so much been on the TikTok, but she would have been on Manny's bandwagon as far as Manny like crushing the TikTok challenges.
Yeah, totally. Just that's how Manny would have made it big, honestly.
Well,
she didn't need to go to that audition room where that woman told her she was fat. Yeah. And the dances would have been cool because she was a cheerleader.
I've got one last one.
Okay.
Where does your fashion inspiration come from?
Mine? Yours. Mine.
I think it was directed at you, Cassie, not Is this a trick?
Oh, right. Was this the one in the question come the first ones?
Yeah.
Is that the only one? Wasn't there two?
I have written down, what was your fashion inspiration?
Oh, okay. My fashion inspiration. I think I like a lot of, I don't think it reflects in all of my wardrobe, but I follow a lot of more, I don't know, artsy, off the runway type pieces. Like, I like runway pieces, but I think like more like something different, something that looks like a little weird. Definitely edge. I like anything edgy. I like lots of different materials, like, leathers and chains and, changing up kind of just the material on material. I love bright colors. I love black. I love just kind of making a look, just making kind of a statement. And I like feeling like I'm trying to wear myself. And in years, it's changed, but ultimately I feel like I've been the same with like I have a massive leather jacket collection. I think at this point in my life, and I started collecting Miriam, I still have the first leather jacket that I ever wore to, remember when I was in my really ripped jeans phase and I had all the writing all over my jeans? I still have that first leather jacket, and I was touring while I was filming. Pardon me?
Do you have the jeans with all the writing?
The chains with all the
jeans with all the writing.
Yeah. No, I don't have those jeans anymore. Those were cool. But I have like 30 leather jackets at this point, and I'm still a jacket collector. I love jackets. I love like statement pieces. Not obviously I don't wear them a ton, except maybe to like Burning Man or something, or to a festival. But yeah, I love chunky jewelry. I've always loved chunky jewelry, like chains and stones and lots of rings, and I guess more maybe like a harder look. And then more recently I'm liking like a lot of color. But there are years that I've been like more like comfy or whatever, but I think that for the main part, the same things that I love about fashion now are the same things that I loved when I was younger. Mm-hmm. And how about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite. I think I tend towards things that are more to like the feminine, flowy, maybe like more romantic style. I tend more toward like pastels and lighter colors. I do have some black in my wardrobe, but like I gravitate more to like lately I'm really liking like oil. But outside of jewelry, I'm more like delicate, pieces as opposed to large chunky pieces. But I'm with you in that I like things that are just like a little bit different. I'm not a massive fan of following a trend. I kind of just like to get like if I'm whatever online shopping, I'm like, oh, what everyone's bought this, yes, that's what I'm gonna buy, as opposed to wow, everyone's bought this, so that's what I'm gonna buy. So
right, yeah. Cool. Well, is that all the questions? I want to.
I feel like we've covered the ones I jotted down.
So I'm gonna just turn this for 1 second because there were some questions, like on here. Oh, do you have any advice for senior girls? Like not like senior at the movie theater, but like senior in high school?
Advice for seniors in high school. Well, number one, to bear in mind that high school is by no means the be all and the end all. Just like when you're in it, you feel like that little microcosm means everything, and your status and your reputation within that school is relevant. And then you step out of that school and you suddenly realize, wow, it is not so relevant. And now I'm in the real world, and there's a whole sea of other people with other opinions. And the people in high school really don't matter too much. So I think it would be definitely to keep in mind that high school is a fishbowl, and there's a big wide world outside of whatever you're experiencing within your high school and live it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would like expand on that a little bit. It's like, I think, yeah, what you said, there's a lot of other people in high school. I think learning how to say no for sure. Like learning how to say no, that you're not going to waste energy on somebody who's kind of taking you for granted or draining you. I also feel like, you know, even though that you might feel like you don't want to give any energy and time to somebody, just be aware and remember to be kind. And that doesn't mean you have to be someone's friend just because they want to be your friend when you know that they're kind of bringing you down. I think it's, you know, make good choices as far as the treatment of other people.
For sure.
And because that stuff sticks with you, and it's kind of how you base the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. And if you treat people poorly, it just creates a ripple effect. And if somebody treated someone else poorly, that could be a ripple effect that's happening to you. So I think that the biggest thing I would say is learn how to say no and to create your boundaries with people that you might not feel like you should be spending time with, but also to be kind and make those real heart choices about the treatment that you give to other people and to yourself. I think it's all about be kind to yourself and be kind to other people. Know when to say no, and to, you know, and know also that, you know, let people down gently. Be kind. Don't do, you know, don't do wrong by anyone else, because it's a ripple effect, and you're in a high school that is, you know, smaller than the big world, obviously, and it's just, it makes the person who you are, your actions. If you continuously mistreat people, that is, you know, you're kind of making those notches deeper within yourself. Mm-hmm. And shaping yourself a little bit more, and it's harder to come out of that later. So
for sure. I completely agree with you. Kindness is like the best lesson that anyone can take away. I think there's no excuse to not be kind. There's always a kind way of saying something, even if what you're saying is rooted in something that might rub someone the wrong way. And I think totally high school has this very unfortunate kind of like group mentality ecosystem in a way, where it's sort of like the cliques, and it's hard to dodge it, and it's hard to, like, I think people are very preoccupied with being somewhat popular when they're in high school, and I think that also like breeds unkindness, because you're not focusing on how you're treating the person, you're more thinking about yourself. So I'm with you. I think kindness.
And then I just wanted to end also, Miriam, because any advice for actors? Any advice for beginner actors, people trying to get into the industry?
I think, well, I feel like for my honest advice would be to trust your instincts and not to get too preoccupied with acting classes and with messages maybe coming from from outsiders, because I think what is most authentic in an actor is what's coming like from within you, as opposed to I've actually gotten really like messed up in my head by some of the acting classes that I've taken that made me second guess my own instincts, and I think it caused me to be self-conscious and caused me to change my performance. And when I look back, I'm like, wow, the scenes that I actually felt were the strongest were the ones where I kind of like did what was coming to me instinctively rather than maybe something that an acting class would have prescribed.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, a lot of the acting classes were like growing up, I was just like, this is nonsense. Because, you know, a lot of acting classes, and especially because they've come a long way since then. Like there are some teachers that, you know, really promote, you know, you bringing out what you can to the table. But yeah, I think like the auditioning classes are great. You know, learning how to kind of harness what's already inside of you, or more promote your own process. Everyone's going to have your own process to get there. But above all, I think that, you know, if you like comedy, if you want to get into stuff, there are so many platforms now. And I think like I always hear about like, how do I get an agent? How do I get an agent? You don't really need one anymore. And, you know, you could start a YouTube, you could do a TikTok, you could just kind of create clout for yourself, as it were, and make it that way. I mean, it's so simple. And I think, you know, kind of finding your genre on TikTok or Instagram or however you want to do it. And, you know, there are a ton of, obviously comedy is very popular. It's hard to like come on TikTok with something really like dramatic and like, you know, play out some sort of Lifetime show scene, but also at the same time, it could be really cool and funny if it was a dramatic scene and you're playing it out. I think that if you can find what makes you different and what's special about you, that's the way that you're going to be successful. It's like, it's never going to be because you're someone else. It's because you have to find what makes, everyone can be the best at something. And it's just, and only you can be the best at what you're best at. So just kind of find that and be proactive. And if it's really your dream, you know, go after it. It takes time and it takes energy, and you're not going to get paid right away. But if it's something that you want, consistency and positive attitude go a really, really long way. Positive attitude is the number one key to success. Is to just like, it's just around the corner. Every failure is it's just shaping me. It's just a metamorphosis. Every letdown is just another step forward. I think like positive attitude in any industry is how you make it to the top. Don't be hard on yourself. You're just learning. And it's just around the corner. That success that you want.
Good advice, Cassie. Motivation right there.
Cool. So I think, I think that's, yeah, I'll look at these questions one last time, but I think a lot of them we answered either in the first one or...
Oh yeah, someone's saying that it doesn't automatically save a live, so I guess I can't save it on my end, right? I think that's only you.
Yeah. Okay. How do we save the lives?
Are we gonna sign?
I thought that I knew how to save the live. I think that when
so for that other one with Entertainment Weekly where I had logged in, when you hit the end button,
it asks you to save it, right?
Yeah, and then it saves it as a post, and from there I think
you save it. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. And then probably if you tag me, I could share it, or I don't know what.
Yeah, I'll save it as a post. Yes.
And then deal with it.
And then we'll call each other right after. We'll discuss what we're doing.
Yeah.
Whoever watches this video is going to have to like continuously turn their screen.
I want to apologize that I got choked up and lost my thought in the middle. It sort of sent me down like a weird space. this, but I mean,
no, Miriam, I think it was very special that you shared that, because I feel like that was a really hard thing for, like, that's why I said, I know that you said the thing about Snake was that hit home, and what hit home the most to me was the episode about the eating disorders, because I, as a friend, had been through that with you. And also your sister, seeing your family, go through that. And it's something that we haven't really talked about, and I feel like it's kind of time to kind of touch on that. I mean, it's very real, and I feel like in these interviews that we've had, we don't really let down our guard. We've never really been vulnerable, and I think with the fans that are here, it's it's nice that they get to see that side.
For sure, and I think that's worth mentioning as well. It's like we were both going through very real experiences while this was all playing out on TV, and for me, it made me put up a wall, because I was going through these real things, and I was expecting that the world expects something specific from me, and that's not someone that's vulnerable, that's not someone that's going through a hard time, that's someone that's got their shit together and is going to go and smile and do an interview. And so I put up a wall, and I tried to not let anybody into what was really going on in my life, when there were layers and layers of challenges that I was going through, and I think you really
yeah. But I think that was very special, and I think thanks for sharing that, because I feel like it's really important, and it was a very, very difficult episode, and I know that I hated it. I was like, they should have given this storyline to someone else, personally, to me anyways, because I love you, and our friendship was so, and is so precious to me. Our friendship growing up, like, when I didn't know that things were happening and I was so young, I was so protective of you. And then when it was just like, it was so, it was, I love you so much.
I love you so much.
I love you. Mwah! Mwah!
You gotta come for a visit. You gotta come up to Canada one day soon.
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna call you right after this, guys.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yes,
good luck
thank
to
you.
Cassie. Let's all send her the good vibes of being able to save this video.
No, I will. I just close it down, and then it asks me whether I want to save it.
Yeah.
And then I save it.
You just keep being positive, Cassie. Yes.
Yes.
You
Oh,
say
shit. No, I'm just joking. Okay, all right. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.